The real story here, Derek Daly, is the fact that if yesterday they were struggling, what are the Penske's doing today? They're still not in.
And it's hard to believe that the struggle continues, and I wonder at the end of the day, will we replace the word struggle with maybe with the word embarrassment, because it would be embarrassing for Roger Penske to miss this race. Think of it like this. Marlboro Team Penske is the benchmark that everybody measures themselves against on performance level and presentation. Well, the presentation as ever is immaculate, but the speed simply has not been there any day this month. They've gone through 4 cars. Started off with the 95 Penske, went back to the 94 Penske, a 94 Reynard, a 95 Lola seemed to be the ticket. However, the speed never came. Now this morning, in conditions that we thought were maybe ideal, people like Davy Jones, who were also struggling yesterday, did lap speeds of 226 miles an hour. Penske's never made it over 223, so the struggle continues. Now consider this. What happens at the end of the day? Let's say there's 5 minutes to go and we have a Penske driver, Junior or Emerson, in the field. Maybe he's on the bubble. What happens if the other Penske driver's in line to potentially push him out of the race? I mean, we could have a catastrophe at the end of the day.
As if we don't have enough nightmares with those possibilities here. You saw Roger Penske just a moment ago down in the pits. Al Unser Jr. is in the 21T car. That is the Renard. Our best indication is that that's not a car that they're particularly interested in. So, Derek, why is it out there?
Well, here's the reason. We saw yesterday Al Unser Jr. took 2 legitimate qualifying attempts in the Lola. One, he simply wasn't fast enough. The second one, the Mercedes engine blew up halfway through. He's only allowed 1 more in that car. If it's not fast enough, he has no other options except the Reynard. It's an officially entered car here. Therefore, that car has 3 more attempts. But the chances really of Al Jr. in that probably 50 minutes of cool weather that's probably faster this evening, the chances of him having 4 attempts at qualifying for this race is very slim, Paul. You know that.
That car is the backup to the backup.
Yes, yeah.
Who knows? So there is that car, and we will be watching that one and a number of others. And here he starts what will be the last attempt to be charged against this car. Scott Sharp works her down into the first turn. And already across the short chute.
And everybody that knows Scott Sharp, you better hold your collective breaths, because this is going to be his only attempt at good speed into turn 1, 233. When you get a speed like that, you're usually above 225. Watch for turn 3. Not great. Needs to be above 230 down there. 223, so he loses 5 miles an hour there. Exit speed off 4. 221, not bad, not bad. Boyd says he'll take anything above 225 and a half.
And the first lap comes in for Scott Sharp at 225.9, nearly 226.
Oh, everybody's in the grandstand is standing. They just announced his time. Big cheer for Scott Sharp because he's in AJ Foyt's car. They want Foyt to have a second car in the race here.
He works down the backstretch now, turns it into turn 3.
Oh, much faster lap. Look at that straight line. Look at that entry speed. Turns 3 and 4. He's not as quick at the bottom of the racetrack, the north end. 220, loses a little bit of time off turn 4. However, the turn 1 of that lap will make his average speed a little bit higher. No, it's a little bit lower.
225.666. He's averaging 225.813 and running potentially for the 32nd qualifying position.
Oh, it's a good run so far. It's a good run so far. He would not be by a long shot the slowest man in the field, but he needs the consistency. Looks good. Oh, he raises it a little bit into turn 3. This looks better. Consistency, you have to match it with speed. Is he a bit quicker off turn 4?
No.
Oh, drops down just a tad.
Watch for the computation on lap number 3, and the third lap comes up at 226.142. So he was able to pick the speed up, and he's averaging 225.923 miles an hour.
He's home and dry if he can just make 1 more lap. The tires are obviously good. The stagger does not affect him. Drops down to 221, exiting turn 2. Into 3. Oh, he drops down a mile an hour. Sometimes a driver will back off a little bit if he thinks he's safely in. He just makes sure, oh, he backs down another bit. That means his exit speed will be a bit slower. 2:19 down to 2:18. I still think he's safe.
The average will be critical, though, on whether or not he's on the inside of the last row or the center position. 2:25.711 for the 4-lap average. That will put him in the center of the 11th and final row. A.J. Foyt now has 2 cars in this field.
Oh, and I think he will be safe. We only have 45 minutes left. He's faster than Lyn St. James. He's faster than Salazar. And Emerson, he's never in his racing career ever had to face a situation like this in the past. World champion, IndyCar champion, double Indy 500 champion.
And never having driven a Lola. He's in one now, and it is his only hope.
We'll use the same 3 laps. Out of the pits, a flying lap gives him a feel. He needs that flying lap because that's what gives him the feel and that's what gives him the confidence. Can he charge absolutely flat out into turn 1 when it counts? This is the warm-up lap that gives him that indication. He has a digital readout on his dashboard. He knows as soon as he crosses the start-finish line exactly what speed he is doing in the car. Look at the color scheme. So unfamiliar to see Miller Genuine Draft with Marlboro on the side and Emerson's helmet in it.
One attempt charged against this car yesterday afternoon at 225.498 miles an hour, an average for 3 laps for Emerson Fittipaldi. So he has 2 more chances in this car. That is assuming that he can actually get back into the qualifying line and present again should he wave off from this one. Some very tense people down at Penske Racing as they pushed the car up to the line and brought it out for qualifying.
Oh, that's a pretty good apex speed at turn 1, 233. That's the type of numbers he needs. You can see he lost 11 miles an hour, which indicates bad handling. He's got to come out of the power. Oh, 229.3. That's not bad. It's not bad. Still quick enough to qualify if he can maintain at 221. Look at that. He lost 8 miles an hour halfway through the short chute. 9 miles an hour. That's still good. This is a good enough average to keep him in the field.
The first lap now. 225.451. 225.451. That's going to be marginal for this field. He's got to definitely try and get that average up.
Look at that, 234. He still drops off. His exit speed off turn 2 and turn 4 is what's beginning to kill the speed in this car. He needs to try and pick that up. He's doing all he can. Oh, he dropped down into turn 3 also. What's its exit speed? 220. It's going to be close.
Looking for the completion of the second lap for Emerson Fittipaldi. The second attempt on the car. The speed falls off badly at 224.871 miles an hour. Now he's averaging 225.160. Will he take that average? He will be the slowest car in the field.
Oh, Emerson is beginning to flirt with danger here because the speed, from what we see, it's not there yet. Up a mile an hour into 3. That's not a good speed across the short chute in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. Oh, drops down. If he's slow off 4, he's slow down this front straight. This doesn't look like a good lap.
It's decision time for Penske Racing now. The third lap at 224.243 miles an hour, averaging 224.854. Now, will they take this run or wait for the third possible attempt on this car, the last possible attempt? Keeping an eye on the starter, keeping an eye down at the Penske team members at the far end of the pit area as Emerson Fittipaldi tries desperately to make it into the 500 field. Will they take it? Will they take the run? Will they take the run? And they do. The checkered flag flies for Emerson Fittipaldi. He completed the 4th lap at 225.068 miles an hour, averaging 224.907 miles an hour. Emerson Fittipaldi is in the 33rd and final qualifying position. The field at Indianapolis is full. The bumping is ready to begin.
Davy Hamilton now, who went above 226 miles an hour earlier. In fact, his first lap speed is above 226. So Emerson is really in deep trouble now.
A good lap for Hamilton, 226.466 miles an hour. His first lap. Remember, he was in an accident earlier. He now drives with pins in his right ankle, some bruised knees. The accident itself was quite spectacular. No fear whatsoever here, though. He is out and running at better than 226 miles an hour.
And Ron Hemmelgarn gave a young American driver a chance to come to Indianapolis. He was a friend of Billy Vukovic, who drove for Ron Hemmelgarn here, and the crowd are absolutely on their feet here. Another 226.1.
And just so you understand, this cheer that goes up is for the Pacers beating the Knicks 97-95 final score. I guess you can believe that the Pacers are very popular here in their hometown. The crowd on their feet while Davy Hamilton takes the run. I hope that he doesn't hear that cheer and wonder what's going on.
Well, if he did, it caused him to back off the power, because look at that 209 out of turn 2 and 211. He's in trouble. There's something gone wrong here. Something gone badly wrong in Davy Hamilton's run. This is not a fast lap.
The bubble speed, you see it at 224.432. That's Frank Freon. Third lap, 216.956. They've got to wave it off now. We'll see what they do, but he fell off very badly. You were right, Derek. Something terribly wrong.
In deep trouble. Davy Hamilton is deep trouble. It sounded as if it was misfiring when he went by here. But look at those speeds. Wave it off. Davy Hamilton is not going to be in the race with this particular run here. And Davy Jones is next.
Davy Hamilton still keeps the car on the line, dials it off the fourth and final turn and onto the front stretch at Indianapolis. So we watch for a yellow flag to see if they will wave off the run, and they do indeed. So Davy Hamilton has waved off the run. Davy Jones is on the track, the third and final attempt.
Emerson, I get the feeling as you got out of the car, you're not happy with this time.
No, not happy, because yes, I went faster, and much faster than today. And I had a pop-up valve going off today. It was a shame.
Was there just nothing more in the car, Emerson?
No, nothing more.
How disappointing in view of what you might have had yesterday when that was waved off?
Well, very disappointed, because I was solid on the field yesterday.
Thank you, Emerson.
So on the course now, Davy Jones, he's just completed the first lap at 224.972 miles an hour. And the line here on the main straightaway is Johansson next, and then Marco Greco, and then Eliseo Salazar, who theoretically by then would be bumped out, and then Al Unser Jr.
So Davy Jones starts off with a poor and a slow first lap. However, look at those speeds pick up. 230 mile an hour apex into turn 1. That is better. That is faster. He can bump out Frank Freon. Frank Freon cannot come back. He has no other cars. Davy Jones' second lap
comes up at 225.062, averaging 225.017. Enough to put Frank Freon out of the field if he maintains the average.
Davy Jones, who did speeds of above 226 earlier today, even in the heat of the day, Davy Jones was fast. But he needs to pick this up a little bit. He will beat Frank Freon if he just maintains this pace. But he's way too close to the bubble for comfort. Oh, the speed drops down again into 3. And it's the same off turn 4. Still hasn't picked it up enough for comfort.
Down the grandstand shadowed main straightaway, the third lap drops off to 224.949, averaging 224.994 miles an hour.
A tick quicker than Emerson and quicker than Frank Freon. This has to be a better lap. It needs to be a better lap. He's slow at the north end of the racetrack. Look at that 226. Oh, it's a tick quicker. 1 mile an hour there. Short shoot a tick quicker. This is a bit better for Davy. A mile an hour off 4. No, it's the same, but it might be just a tick quicker to give him a comfort zone. He has to take the flag.
They take the run, the fourth lap at 225.558 miles an hour. The 4-lap average at 225.135 miles an hour. And Frank Freon is bumped out of the 500 field.
We heard Tony Bettenhausen tell us earlier he had problems with the pop-off valve. What they told Stefan is, don't touch it, don't go near it, don't try and dial a little bit of more boost, because it's so dangerous. If you lift that valve, for all intents and purposes, it's over. Speed into turn 1, 230. That is only average at best. He needs more than that. 223 off turn 2.
One attempt charged against this car at 224, 495 miles an hour for 3 laps. If he can't do better than that, then he cannot move Fittipaldi off the bubble.
Oh, it doesn't look good. In 3 and 4. 222, 221, only an average lap. Let's wait and see what the speed is.
The first lap complete for Stefan Johansson, 224, 669 miles an hour. Faster than yesterday's average, but not fast enough to put Fittipaldi off the bubble.
Not fast enough, and he's losing time. Between turns 1 and 2, Stefan Johansson has gone slower this run. Oh, he's slower into turn 3. Watch the short shoot. Oh, he's slower. This is not a good lap. Not a good lap for Stefan Johansson.
2 attempts charged against this car. For the moment, Fittipaldi is safe on the bubble. Looking for the second lap now. 223, 691. You were right, Derek. Falling off badly. Still not fast enough to make it into this field.
Stefan is in trouble when he begins to turn in to 2 and 4. Oh, he's down to 219. He is in deep trouble. He is in deep trouble. He cannot take this run because it just simply is not fast enough. He's got to go to the back of the line. No option.
His car owner, Tony Bettenhausen, has picked up, though not yet waved, the yellow flag, indicating that they would wave him off this run and leave him with a single attempt and about 33 minutes to go. There he waves the flag. Now, can he get back into line, and can he in that time get the speed up?
Green flag is waved for Marco Greco.
So Salazar decides that this qualification attempt that they were anticipating does not need to be made at this time. There may be time left. On the course now, Marco Greco driving for Rick Gallis, Albuquerque, New Mexico team. The car has not yet had an attempt charged against it, so he has 3 opportunities. He won't have time for 3 opportunities with just under 30 minutes to go.
And obviously with Quaker State and Tecate, you will recognize this is Fernandez's car, Adrian Fernandez, and this is not a good lap. This is nowhere near qualifying speed.
Well, this is a backup car that really hasn't been much above 215. We'll see how it comes up. 222, so he's given it a pretty good run. 222.778.
Oh, look at the entry speed now, how much it picked up. Obviously, he needs to get some confidence in this car. Oh, way slow off turn 2. So he was fast into 1 and lost all that momentum into 2. Does he pick the speed up into turn 3? No, not a good lap here. A bit quicker, I think, but nowhere near qualifying pace.
You see the bubble speed at 224.907. That's the speed that belongs to Emerson Fittipaldi, 2-time champion here. Marco Greco completes the second lap. One of the Brazilian group drops down to 221.293. Obviously not fast enough to make it into the field. Certainly not fast enough. They wave it off. So he still has another opportunity. Another car back there in line. The question is, will he have the time? A car that is unknown for the team. They've worked with their own cars. This is the Lola, borrowed from Rahal Hogan Racing. Al Unser Jr. has tried to get it up to speed for qualifying twice. First time he waved off after 2 laps at 224 miles an hour. His second attempt ran at 223.480 miles an hour, both of those yesterday. This is the third and final attempt on this car for Little Al.
Never have we seen this before. He could bump his teammate out of the race and have no guarantee that he's in it himself, because there are more cars in line behind him trying to get in this race.
The run begins for the defending champion of the 500, the defending pole sitter. Al Unser Jr. never has an Indy 500 champion come back to the 500 trying to qualify and not made it into the field.
231 into turn 1. But look at the amount he lost between the short chute and then into turn 2. Oh, this does not look good.
Attempting to bump out his teammate, Emerson Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi's speed, 2:24.907.
Loses a huge amount of time. In the short shoot, 2:17 off turn 4. Not a good lap for Al Unser Jr.
Here comes the first indications. He goes into 2:21.992 miles an hour. Not nearly good enough for the defending champion.
He's obviously able to carry the speed down the front straight and into turn 1. But then, look at the handling difficulties he has with the car. Perhaps he's got way too much push because he's out of the power and loses a huge amount of time and speed. And of course, that makes him slow all the way down that long, long back straight. Picks it up a little bit in the middle of the short shoot between 3 and 4. Exit speed off 4. Has to be higher. It can't be any slower than that. Still not a good lap.
Imagine what he's feeling in the cockpit. He knows how fast, or rather how slow it is, but he did bring the lap up to 2:24.092. The average at 2:23.037. Not enough to take Fittipaldi out of the field. He has 2 laps to go. The third and final attempt on this car.
Oh, he needs to dig deeper, and he is beginning to dig deeper. You have to get brave sometimes. He doesn't like being too brave between the concrete walls, but this is faster. This lap is considerably faster.
The Indianapolis 500, the most important event in this man's life. It is all he has ever dreamed of. 9 times the Unser family has taken the checkered flag here at Indianapolis. The third lap complete. 2:25.113. It begins to climb. The average 2:23.725. The last lap will tell the tale, and it will have to be hot.
And that first lap of 221 may tell the story, because I don't see enough speed here through our speed traps to lift Al Unser into the 2:27s or 8 range, which is what it will take to bring that average above Emerson's. Al Jr. is in deep trouble.
Heading for the checkered flag, keeping an eye now on the final lap average. He has to beat 2:24.9. 2:24.907. He can't do it. He doesn't do it. Al Unser Jr. has not yet qualified. Fittipaldi is still in the field. Now what will this man, Roger Penske, do? The team has never been in this situation. 24 minutes to go. Cars still in line. Many cars still in line. They have no other car available. The C plan is the Reynard. It's not been as fast as the Lola.
Al Unser Jr. in the Reynard has never been fast. He used it today. It never performed. And all they can do is shake their head, because the hours and toil and turmoil of this month of May beginning to wear everybody down at the Marlboro Team Penske. Who'd have believed it?
So slowly now, Al Unser Jr. One victory this year at Long Beach, but he can't make it into the 500. At least he hasn't done so yet, and he is running out of time. On the course now is Jeff Ward, who just turned a lap at 226.074 miles an hour. Plenty fast enough to knock the second Penske car of Emerson Fittipaldi out of the field. And Al Unser Jr. has taken all of his shots with the Lola. The defending champion of the Indy 500 is not in the field, and at this point I would say it is not likely he will be.
At this point, no. And what makes it all the more remarkable, Jeff Ward has only done 15 single-seater races in his whole career as a racing driver.
At 2:24.361, averaging 2:25.214. Fast enough to take Emerson Fittipaldi out of the field.
Beginning to slow down off turn 2. He needs to pick the speed up into turn 3. 2:23. Oh, he does. 2:26. Jeff Ward looks really good so far. Turn short shoot, little bit lost. 2:20. What will that read? 2:18. Oh, he drops down a little bit.
Watching is Jeff Ward. Great motorcycle champion in Supercross and motocross. Completes a third lap at 2:23.869. But look at the average. The average has dropped down below that could take Fittipaldi out.
Oh, Jeff Ward is so close, but he's not in yet. 2:18 off turn 2 is not good enough. He needs to be quicker at 3 and 4 226. Oh, he drops down. Jeff Ward's in trouble.
This is the second attempt on this car, so they could wave this one off and still have another shot at it. We keep an eye up to the north end. They do wave it off. So Jeff Ward takes the wave off. He looked good for a couple of laps there and looked like he might have made it into the field. Al Unser Jr. walks away. On the course, the third and final attempt for this car is Marco Greco. This is the car that they feel is faster. Though on the first attempt, it was 224. Second attempt, speed fell off. They had a problem after the first lap. Mechanical problem that dropped them down to 217, and they waved it off. So this is the third and final attempt. It is a car that is capable of making it into the field.
And now we see what turn one will bring.
218.691, not nearly quick enough. Now, will they stay out on the course or wave it off quickly so that other cars will be given an opportunity? That's the strategy that starts to play now. Will one owner help another? With that kind of speed, you know you can't get the speed up fast enough. You'd need a lap over 234, and Roberto Guerrero, for one, doesn't want to see that.
Nowhere near qualifying speed. Nowhere near. Needs to come off the racetrack. Nowhere near. Doesn't matter what he picks up from here on in.
The word from just up the tech line as they wave off Marco Greco is that both of Roger Penske's Penske chassis are going to be pushed into line. Cars that have not been nearly fast enough, there they are, being pushed back at the back of the tech line. Emerson Fittipaldi still on the bubble. Al Unser Jr. not in the show. Marco Greco waving off on the third attempt. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Well, Paul, there are two Penske entrants, but one car you're looking at there was a Penske, but up ahead is the Reynard. These are the other two cars that Al Unser Jr. has spent time in. Now, they're very far back in line. I don't think they have a shot at getting Al Unser Jr. in either of these cars. I think what they're doing is they're trying to protect other people from getting into line. In other words, trying to jam up the line with their cars, so hopefully Emerson Fittipaldi can stay in.
Well, in theory, we probably only have time for 4, perhaps 5 more qualifiers before the final gun sounds for qualifying for the 79th Indy 500. Stefan Johansson has another car in line ready to go, and on the course now is Davey Hamilton once again.
And Emerson Fittipaldi has now dodged 4 bullets. 4 cars have the potential to knock him out of this race. And let me tell you this, Davey Hamilton in this community effort car here definitely has the potential to knock Emerson out.
What spirit in this young man. A devastating crash a little over a week ago, broken right ankle, gets it pinned, rushes out of the hospital to come back and get the approval of the physicians here to run at Indianapolis, and he's trying to make it into his first Indianapolis 500.
And his dad tried to make it into the Indy 500 back in 82 and 83, and one of the most awkward looking cars that ever appeared here, something like a lobster claw front end on it. He was wise enough not to make an attempt, and in fact Ron Hemmelgarn, who owns this car, now owns his dad's old car that will be restored in the very near future. Comes from Super Modifieds, well known on the West Coast. A lot of people on the West Coast now holding their breath for Davey Hamilton.
One attempt charged against this car. He ran 3 laps at 223.091. You saw that just a few minutes ago. Not fast enough to take Fittipaldi off. They pulled it out, put it back in the line, and here we go again.
The 94 Reynard. It has a Ford engine. He destroyed one last week. The broken ankle that has pins inserted does not give him any trouble, he said, but the severe bruising on his knees meant he hobbled right by our position here to get into this racing car. Racing drivers are able to put it out of their mind and get on with the business of going fast with that 219 speed off turn 2. I don't like to see that when you need a lap speed averaging above 225 miles an hour, or that 217.
We watched Davey Hamilton completing the first of 4 laps. 223.004, not nearly fast enough. Gary Gerald, you have an update on the Penskes?
Paul, we're back in Gasoline Alley. We followed Al Unser Jr. in the golf cart back into the garage. Emerson Fittipaldi was back in here. Emerson is very, very emotional and upset because of what transpired yesterday, unable to get into the field today with that slower speed or getting in and then being bumped. I had a quick word with Richard Buck as they brought one of the cars into the garage. All the doors are down, all the doors are locked, the entire team is sequestered in there. I asked Richard, are there any options left at this point? He shook his head and said no, unless something miraculous transpires. But as you well know, with about 12 minutes to go, the odds are looking very, very bleak for Team Penske right now.
Fittipaldi is on the bubble at 224.907.
Davey Hamilton is in trouble here because we see a very inconsistent run. He's able to carry the speed down the front straight, but as soon as he gets to the corners, this car does not handle well. So Davey Hamilton is in deep trouble here. 2:17 into turn 3. He's not going to make it. I don't care if he does another 6 laps, he's not going to make it.
Over 2 miles an hour off the average needed to bump Emerson Fittipaldi, who currently occupies 33rd position out of the field. Conclusion of lap number 3. 2:17. They should wave this car off, give other drivers a chance. And they do. The car waved off for Davey Hamilton. Stefan Johansson, the car has had 2 attempts clocked against it. One yesterday at 2:24.4. Then today, not long ago, at 2:24.179. The bubble speed is Emerson Fittipaldi's at 2:24.907.
And we mentioned earlier, he has the speed in this car, but he doesn't have the speed when it counts. You have to produce it right now, Stefan, if you're going to make it into this race.
But Jan Bikus, they have made some changes since that last run.
Yes, they have, Paul. They've made big changes. I had a chance to talk with Stefan. He said he went absolutely flat out in that first run, and somehow the car was not free. Somehow it had too much downforce. Some reason it just wasn't running down the straightaway. They stripped an enormous amount of downforce off this car. Now it's for him to try and hold it down again to see if they can get the speed up.
So the car's loosened up, more in Stefan's hands.
And of course the trade-off is, can you stay flat through the corners? And 2:24.8 is right on the bubble of being able to knock Emerson off, but he's got to pick it up a little bit.
Definitely going to have to pick up during the next 3 laps, averaging 2:24.8. Emerson's in at 2:24.907. That's the bubble speed.
Oh, this is better for Stefan. This is better. Tony Bettenhausen is absolutely chewing his nails at the moment. It's faster everywhere on the racetrack so far. So the Alumax car may have a starting spot, and Roger Penske's customer may knock him out of the Indy 500, and it's with his competitors, Reynard.
Owner Tony Bettenhausen with that tremendous family legacy here. He brings the speed up. Stefan Johansson at 2:25.739. He's averaging 2:25.282, fast enough to take Emerson Fittipaldi out of the field.
Oh, Stefan looks good. He's only halfway through. He needs to carry the speed, and he needs to be consistent. He is faster again. Whatever they did to the car, it has proved to be the right decision. Same speed at the short chute. Same speed off turn 4, but this looks like a better lap overall.
Can he maintain the average? It looks much better. We'll take a look at the 3rd lap, 2:25.9. He's averaging 2:25.494, and that is fast enough.
Just about 2 miles to go, and we will have no Penske driver in this race. Johansson about to knock off the double IndyCar champion, former world champion, and he has everything he needs. He just needs one more corner.
Tony Bettenhausen and his driver Stefan Johansson, they stuck with the Reynard. Worked on it as hard as they could, made drastic changes, as you heard Jan Bikus tell you, and here he takes the lap. And the 4th lap complete. And 2:25.547 takes Emerson Fittipaldi, the 2nd and final Penske car, out of the field. Tony Bettenhausen has a car in the field. And look at the joy and the celebration for the Alumax team down there. Tony Bettenhausen, a driver himself, he's worked so hard at it. Dick Simon there, John Menard there. Everybody celebrating what is a very popular run here, but a tragedy for the Penske team. Let's go to Jan.
Congratulations, Tony. Do you ever think you bumped Emerson?
No, and I'm sorry to see it happen. I really am.
I bet he is. I bet he's sorry to see it happen. He's delighted to see it happen because Stefan gets an opportunity. What a great day for Tony Bettenhausen, who is in so much trouble trying to get a Penske in the field first then trying to get a Reynard in the field, and Johansson takes the applause from everybody down the pit lane here.
Standing ovation on the 5/8 of a mile front stretch here in Indianapolis for Stefan Johansson. Hear the sound of his engine as he rolls down, the crew out looking for him. They want to get that qualifying picture. Stefan Johansson has made it into the Indianapolis 500-mile race, and Emerson Fittipaldi is out.
I think you should say that again. He's what? Out. Emerson Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr. will not be in the Indy 500 as it stands right now.
There is no occurrence in modern sport, that parallels this. The defending champion, 4 total wins between those two drivers, Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr., the defending pole sitter, and they are not in this 500 field, and there's about 6 minutes to go, and absolutely no possibility, despite the fact those cars are back in line. So now Stefan Johansson climbs out of the car, congratulated by his crew, receives the applause of everybody around, a great hug there from his new bride. Gary Gerould waits. Gary, the spirit down there must be spectacular.
Well, we talk so much about the mysteries, the intrigues of Indianapolis, the emotion. Man, the hair is standing up on the back of my neck, Paul. I can't tell you that right now. Stefan still hasn't taken off the helmet. One by one, the crew members, hugs, high fives, handshakes. Jim Philippi of the public address system there to get a word, and we'll try to get now the embrace from Tony B. His wife again stepping in. Oh my, Stefan is in the field, and what high drama here in these final moments.
So Stefan Johansson makes it into the field. Let me reset the last 2 rows for you now. Marco Greco is trying to get in the car so that he can get out on a qualification run.
And a quick word from Stefan Johansson, the emotion of this moment after battling and now knocking Team Penske out of the Indy 500.
Well, obviously that's that's the sad part of all this. I mean, it's I don't think that's how it should be. I mean, obviously Penske certainly belong in this race, but we've had such a rough time, all of us, us and the Penske team this month. I'm just real happy particularly for all the guys in the team, because it's been the toughest 3 weeks I've ever had.
Well, you guys have deserved it. It's the work that pays off literally at the last minute. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stefan Johansson and the crew celebrate.
Roger Penske's favorite motto is effort equals results. Sometimes it doesn't pay dividends immediately because they put the effort in this month of May and did not get the results. But it's not over yet. Look at this.
Marco Greco back in one of the Rick Gallis cars, trying to knock Eliseo Salazar off of his position, the slowest car in the field, now at 22:25.023. Team Penske, first time, 26 years, no car in the race.
Marco Greco takes the Quaker State Tecate Fernandez car out. He's on brand new tires. He may be the last qualifier. Johnny Parsons has just rolled his car up here in front of us, and they will watch to see, can they get a run in before 6 o'clock? It depends on whether Greco is quick enough or not. If Greco is slow and they take him off the racetrack, perhaps Johnny Parsons might get an opportunity. He's got to wait, though, to see what Greco does.
So Marco Greco back on the track once again. Johnny Parsons Jr., son of a great champion, great racing family. Many, many good runs here at Indianapolis. But Marco Greco stands between him and a qualification attempt, and time is running out now with just at 3 minutes to go.
When you drive a strange car, how can you possibly hold your foot flat all the way through a corner that's above 227 miles an hour, even if you're just going slow? That's now what Rick Gallis hopes Marco Greco can do. But it is a tall order to jump into a strange car, even if the car handles reasonably well. Confidence is what you need.
So Marco Greco, one qualification attempt on this car about an hour ago at 222.033 miles an hour. This is his second attempt on the car with 1 minute to the final gun here at Indianapolis that will end the time trials for the 79th running of the Indy 500. Now the rules allow that if your car is out and rolling on a qualification attempt, you can go ahead and finish that attempt after 6 o'clock. Marco Greco now on his first lap, and the speeds here are critical. They're always critical here.
They're critical and they're slow. 229 is not fast enough. 215 exit off turn 2 is not fast enough. This will not get the job done.
Will they recognize that and pull this car off, giving Johnny Parsons Jr. a chance? His engine warms just a few feet from where we stand right now. Marco Greco, 216.
Bad exit.
Turn 4.
Bad exit speed. They will have to give him one more lap to see if the new tires come up to temperature and come up to stagger and bring the speed up. But the gun has gone also. Johnny Parsons will not get a chance anyway.
And Marco Greco's lap at 220.340 miles an hour. Not nearly fast enough. But still, he can stay on the course until they wave off or he fails to qualify.
And for sure one of those will happen because these speeds are not fast enough. He's going through the motions, but with the first lap at 220, there is virtually no hope for Marco Greco to go fast enough.
Eliseo Salazar has to be breathing much easier now. Second lap on Marco Greco's run coming to conclusion. He brings it up substantially to 222.535, but still not nearly quick enough to take the bubble. Eliseo Salazar's speed at 225.023 miles an hour.
So part of the Brazilian bunch, Marco Greco, nowhere near fast enough. Put her away, boys. It'll be a spare car for race day. And get her ready for Milwaukee because this car will not race.
The Gallus team has one car in the field. Adrian Fernandez, nice run yesterday. But Marco Greco, and it sputters as he heads down the main stretch. And the second lap at 222.535, averaging 221.4.
And it's over. It's over for Marco Greco.
Can't possibly get it done. Many stories to come out of this. Al Unser Jr. and Fittipaldi are out. The field is set. I'm Paul Page for Derek Daly. So long from Indianapolis.